Okay. All right, so first of all, we are reviewing angles. So we're moving into our next little unit, and which we're getting into geometry. Okay, some people either love geometry or hate geometry. Personally, I like it because I'm a very visual person, so I can picture it. It's very easy for me to see. But if you're not, we'll have to teach you some tricks to get you on the visual side, okay? So vertical and adjacent. You guys, notice I put quick review from last year. These are things that we learned last year, not new, okay? So let's just look here. It says an angle is formed by a combination of two rays and a vertex. Notice, oh, see already, yay, yay. Got to figure something. All right, so here's the vertex, and then there's the angles, and here are the rays, okay? A ray is just something that has one endpoint that goes on and on in one direction. Unlike a line goes on and on in both directions, okay? Just a little bit of vocabulary review. There are basically three types of angles. We'll throw straight in there for good measure, but we have the right angle, which is exactly 90 degrees. We usually have that little symbol in there. See, that looks weird to me. There it goes. That little symbol means a right angle, correct? We remember this, yes? Okay. Acute is something that is less than a right. Obtuse is something that is greater than a right. And then we have a straight angle where it's exactly 180. None of this should be new information, correct? Okay. Now, vertical angles. And again, you guys in the back, this is as big as I can make it. So if y'all can't see, please feel free to come up here with a clipboard. Vertical angles are formed when two lines cross. They have congruent angle measures. What does congruent mean? Same, equal. Okay, same. And they lie across from one another. Okay, so it says in this figure to the right, there are two pairs of vertical angles, this and this. So meaning this angle would be vertical to which one? The one on the bottom. Does everybody see that? Yes? Okay, and how do we name that angle? I can't call it angle E because 4 different angles stopped at angle E. What do I call this one? A, E, C. Does everybody see where I made that? Because if I was to draw A, E, C like that, that's the angle that it made, okay? And what would be the name of this guy? B, E, D. Okay, now, does it matter if I said D, E, B or B, E, D? No, the only important thing is that what? E has to be in the middle. That's exactly right, okay? And then let's pick a different color. We'll see. We have this one. Nope, didn't do it. Yeah, y'all see me changing the color, right? Yes. Oh, it changed it. So this one, what's the name of that one? AEB. And this one, DEC. Those would also be congruent to each other. Is everybody good with vertical? Okay. Now, two angles that are next to one another are called what? No. Adjacent. Adjacent is that word right there. Adjacent just means next to. And in the mathematical world, that's not very helpful. Just say it. It's just a word. Meaning, if mathematically up here, if I have vertical angles and I know that these two things are equal to one another, well, if one of them is 50, then the other one's 50. But with it, if it's adjacent, if I told you that this was 50, then this one, do you know anything? Not yet. Not just from the word adjacent. Okay? Now, in this particular case, we can say this angle and this angle are adjacent, correct? Let's name them. Angle A, what's the top one? A, E, C, and angle A, E, B are adjacent. It is so weird writing on this.
It sounds weird.
It does. Okay, they are adjacent. And in this case, these adjacent angles add up to 180 degrees. How do I know that? How do I know that they were 180? Because what? because they made a straight line. So now, could that information be helpful? Yes, because if I knew, let's say one of them was 80, well, then the other one would be 100. Does that make sense? Okay. So now let's go to the next page and do a little bit of math here. Finally using this information. Again, should be quick review, okay? Angle FBG. The first thing I got to do is find it. And here's the difference. This is what I noticed, the difference between 6th and 7th grade. In 7th grade, our pictures have gotten a little bit what? Yeah, a little bit more complex here. We've got more things going on than simply like on W down here, where we've just got 2 things. So FBG, oh, they're talking about this angle right there. That's the first thing I would do is mark it. And now, what information are you going to use to determine that measure? The fact that it's what? Well, you could use either one, except that the directions said to use your knowledge of vertical angles. So that one is vertical from 60. Does everybody see that? It's vertical, meaning across from this guy right there. And so that makes it 60. ABH. Okay, so ABH is this guy right here. And it is vertical from 120. Good. Okay. BHI. BHI is this one right there. And it's vertical from 150. Does everybody get that? Okay. Now let's look at the next one. Determine the value for X and Y using knowledge of vertical angles. We'll find a vertical angle. So here's one, and then what's vertical to it? 145. So what do you know about them? They have to be equal to each other. So can I set up an equation? Yeah, 2x plus 23 equals 145. So there's your equation. Now what? Just solve it. What do you do? Minus 23. Uh-oh. And if you're like me, what did you not get? Your calculator. Okay, did everybody get that x equals 61?
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure you're reading the directions. The question said to determine the value of x and y. So in this case, I found my x. Now I need to do my y, correct? So I'm going to change color. Try and maybe. Not sure why you're not available anymore. In just 2 seconds, this worked. There we go. I know some of this is operator error. Again, I didn't get time to practice. So 8y minus 5 would be equal to 35. See how it like dragged over like that? It's because I don't think I put up high enough, and that's what I discovered. But I think it works better in Lumio. It doesn't do that anyway. Okay, so now what? Add 5 to both sides. 8y equals 40. So then y would equal 5. Okay? So see, it's the same information as last year, vertical and adjacent. It's just that the numbers have probably gotten a little bit complex. All right. I want you to do y. It says to solve for x, but notice that there was a note here. Solve using adjacent angle. So find x. Here it is, this one right here. What's adjacent to that angle? The 40. Those guys are adjacent. What do we know about them? Not only are they adjacent, but they what? They add up to 180 because it made a straight line. So your equation would be 5x plus 10. Then what? No, it doesn't equal 40. Plus 40 equals what? 180. It would only have equaled 40 if it had been vertical, but it wasn't. Okay? So now our next step would be 5x plus 50 equals 180. 5x equals, come on y'all, dust off those cobwebs. 130. So x equals, what? I don't know, my calculator died. 26. 26. Okay. All right, guys, any questions? How are we doing? What are we confused on?
How do you get like the equation? I forgot how to put x in the calculator.
You don't put x in the calculator because that's not how we solve equations. You have to know how to solve an equation. You had to solve. Notice I didn't pick my calculator up until this step right here. I knew 5x plus 10 and 40 had to equal 180. I'm not using my calculator. I just know I need to combine like terms. 10 plus 40 is 50. Then I subtracted 50 from both sides. This is my knowledge of how to solve equations. It has nothing to do with calculator. Okay, and then I'm dividing by 5 on both sides to get 26. That's when I finally use the calculator.
But why would we need to do that?
Because it asked me to solve for x. How else can you solve for x?
Where's x?
In the picture right there. 5x plus 10. I didn't make it up.
Did you remember all of that?
Okay, well, here's another thing. If, y'all, this note right here said to solve it using the adjacent angle. If it hadn't have done it, would that have been the easiest way to do it? I don't think so. I think it would have been easier to say 5x plus 10 equals what? 140, because see, these guys are vertical, and so that means they're equal to each other. So I just saved myself, look, a couple of steps. I know, I'm trying my best. And then x equals 26. Okay, so meaning, notice that this 5x equals 30 appeared right there. It took me a few more steps to get there, that's all. So it's not wrong, but I just wanted to have this note about using the adjacent angle because we hadn't yet, that's all. Okay? Are we okay so far? Okay, next page. Now, again, recalling what we remember. Complementary and supplementary. Remember, complementary does not mean, hey, I like your shirt. That's not what we mean. Okay, there are two kinds of angles, complementary and supplementary. Do y'all remember what they are?
No.
One of them equals 90 and one of them equals 180. Which one's which?
Complementary.
We gave you guys some ways to remember that last year. What's one? Wow. Thanks. I know for a fact I gave my kids at least two ways. One way I said C comes before S in the alphabet, and therefore 90 comes before 180.
I remember that.
Thanks.
I don't remember that.
That's one way. The other way I told mine was that if you take an S and you take a C, the C I can turn that into a 90. The S I can turn that. It just depends on the teacher you had and if you remember anything. Okay. Okay. So. Okay. So this is two or more angles that equal 90 degrees. That makes them complementary. Okay, it's just a vocabulary word that's very abstract that you never ever use, which is why you forgot what it meant. Okay, which is why I gave you guys these little tricks. My favorite one is the C before S because C comes before S, 90 comes before 180 on the number line. I don't know, but whatever you need to put in here. So how am I going to change this definition down here? That's it. Okay. So when you look at this picture on the right, I know I can write an equation to solve it. What would I put? That these two angles, when I add them together, have to equal what? 90. Now, did I need to know the word complementary for this one? No. Why not? Because you know that this picture is a 90-degree angle, right? But in the future, or really soon, it's going to say, angle A is 3x. Angle B is 3x plus 12. Angle A and B are complementary to each other. Find the value of x. You see what I'm saying? There'll be no pictures. You got to know what that word means. Okay? What's our next step in solving here? Combine like terms, which would be 6x plus 12 equals 90. Now what? Minus 12. So 90 minus 12 is? Come on. Woo, look at those cobwebs flying off. Y'all are rusty. 78. And then? X equals 13. X equals 13. All right. Okay, let's look at the next one. Ready? What's the equation I'm going to put?
6x plus
Plus
something
something.
Good. Equals 180 this time because they made a straight line. Now what? 10x minus 10 equals 180. Then what? Plus 10 on both sides. So 10x equals 190. Then what? Divide by 10. So x equals 19. Okay? Now, what's the matter? Oh, you know what? We skipped a step. Oh, that's okay. I'll go back. Y'all, the direction said finding the missing measure. Is 19 a measure, or is 19 just the value of x? So how do I find the measure of that? Yeah, I have to go back and put 6 times 19, which is 114 degrees. And then how can I find this one? There's 2 ways. I can either plug in and go 4 times 19 minus 10, which is 66, or what else could I have done? Good. I could have just done 180 minus 114 to get that guy. Which thing do you think is more fail-safe? Like a better way to do it on a quiz?
180.
Well, here's what I would do. Actually, we haven't even done it yet. After I do these 2 things, then I would do one final step right here and make sure what? Make sure they equal 180. Because of course, if I plug in x, I'm going to get a value. It's just a matter of does it equal 180. Once I do that, and 114 plus 66 is 180, so I know I got it right. Okay? And I'm pretty sure a minute ago I said, oops, I forgot a step. We forgot to come back up here and do that one. So we know that x equals 13. So then 3x would be 39. And then 3x plus 12 would be 51. And honestly, y'all, you just need to pay attention to what the question is asking for. Sometimes it's going to say find the value of x. Sometimes it's going to say find the missing angle measures. You just have to pay attention, okay? And I promise you on your quiz on Friday, there's at least one where you have to find the x and the value,
How many
okay?
questions are there?
Like 5. Remember, it's a half. Remember, it's a half, okay? Okay. So, I have a Kahoot, but yeah, I guess we can do it really quick. Okay, so grab a device. Actually, hang on. Actually, you know what? In the sake of time, we're going to skip the Kahoot. No, raise your hand if you want to do the Kahoot. It's like half. Raise your hand if you don't. Okay, I'm going to go with no. Okay, we're going to skip it. If there's time, we'll come back to it. What I really want y'all to do, y'all, on the extra piece of paper that you picked up, not the one in the packet, hello, not the one in the packet. You're going to do the first 4 only, 1 through 4 on the front and 1 through 4 on the back. Okay, then we're gonna check those and go over them, and then, y'all are not listening. The rest of the page, front and back, will be your homework, okay? But I wanna have time to go over it, which is why I don't think we have time for the food, okay?